In today's video, I'm going to show you how to go from this to this to this delicious fruit. What's up everybody, I'm Busy, and today I'm going to show you how you can grow your very own pineapple. Now, I do this because pineapple is one of my favorite fruits. I eat it as much as I can year round if it's available, but if it's not, it's no big deal. So I try and catch them during the summer, especially right now when it's starting to come in early. Spring's just starting, so they may be okay, but I'm on them already. Now, we do go through a lot of pineapple here, so it makes a lot of sense for us to actually try and grow some. And honestly, it's super easy to grow one of these, and I'm going to show you how. All you need to do is start with the pineapple that you bought at the store, twist off the top. That's literally it. Just took it right off. I just twisted it, I didn't cut it. Put this right here, and then the most important part is you want to start tearing this down until you start seeing some feeder roots. Let's go ahead and start doing that. All you're doing is pulling these off. And it takes a minute because you have to find where these roots are. See, here they are. I already got down to them. I'm gonna pull a couple more of these off. These feeler roots are already there, which is great. So I don't have to do too much work, but I'm gonna keep pulling to make it a lot more obvious what's going on. Save all these for my scraps later. It's really easy. This is all you gotta do is keep pulling. Don't worry, you're not hurting the plant any more than you already did by buying it at the store because someone cut it off of the mother plant. All right, let's see. Go a couple more around here, and that's it. Oh, that's a lot of good roots. Now what you can see is with these little tiny roots right here, these things right here, all around here, you have to get these exposed. If you don't, this is not going to work. Now from here, there's two different things that you can actually do. One of which I don't do, my neighbor does. The other one I do all the time. So now that I've got this like this, all I have to do now is I can just sit it in the window and let it sit for a couple of days, and this will start drying up and this will callus over and get hard. Then I can go ahead and plant it. That's not my preferred way of doing this. In fact, this is my preferred way of doing it. This is a pineapple I've already had growing for a couple of months. And all I do, stick it in water, nothing else. Boom, there you go. I'm growing a pineapple all of a sudden. And all I have to do is change this water once a week. Now, why do I prefer doing it this way over letting this just dry up and callus? Well, I actually tried that once and it didn't work out so well. It actually died. I had 2 pineapples that I killed that way. So I wanted to start with something easy that I can more easily monitor myself. So that's where this came in. And it's clear so that I can keep an eye on what's going on with the water. Because I don't know if you can see it, there's a bunch of little stuff floating around in there. That's just different detritus that comes off of the roots. But this is the way I can keep an eye on what's going on, see how long these roots get and everything. I can just get to see it grow, which is actually pretty cool. But once these roots get to about this length, I will actually take it and put it into the garden. But I don't really put it into the garden, I put it into a bucket because it's much easier to do it that way. So let's go ahead and get down into the garden and let's get dirty. Now here we are down on my planting mat, which is really just a sheet. Doing this so I can keep everything where I need it to be. Alrighty. Oh. Right here I have the very first pineapple I ever planted that's lived. And as you can see, it's just in a big 5-gallon bucket. Nothing special. It's very heavy. It's very much full of water and rocks and everything. However, the most important part about this is that it's made out of food safe plastic. That's really important because you don't want anything leaching into pineapple or your soil from being out in the sun all the friggin' time. So that's why I get these. About $8 at Lowe's. Already got my bucket. Now you probably see a lot of other things sitting around here, such as this bucket. This one, rocks. Like I said, I'm going to show you how to do this from start to finish. And then more rocks. Then more rocks. Even more rocks. More. Now I don't have so many rocks. I prefer to have all of my mixes that I make myself be a lot more airy and have a lot more drainage in them than it usually comes with. So I have those, and then final, once everything's done, I just have this pea gravel, nothing special, it's just pea gravel, and I'm gonna top dress it with just like this one. Now I'm gonna be using something I've never used before. This is mushroom compost that I just went and bought from Just Natural, not a sponsor. So this is just mushroom compost. When you get it other states, it might be something else. However, right here, mine says, in Florida, product contains composted mushroom compost. Right here. And that's all that's in here. Nothing else, nothing more. Other states, it will be mixed in with some other things, but because of our regulations here in Florida, they're a little bit more stringent. So we only have mushroom compost. Then, this is gonna take a minute because this one's heavy. God, there's a lot of water coming in. Then I've got a fresh bag of Jungle Grove flower and veggie mix for potting soil. I normally don't use this for other plants. I only use this for things I may eat because this is formulated for growing vegetables. None of my other soil is for that. My soil is for growing flowers and succulents. So I like to use this because it has a lot more nutrients in it than I can actually do cheaply myself, but it mixes in a lot of stuff from quote unquote the forest floor, which is a lot of compost, bark, mulch, moss, things like that. If we're really interested, this thing's heavy as hell. We can see what's in here, that it's got ammonium nitrate and a whole bunch of other stuff. But if I look, there is nothing in here specifically about the state of Florida, about this soil, which means there's nothing too bad in it. Unfortunately, this is not organic. I can't find any very good quality organic soil locally at a commercial store. Right now, the best thing I can get is Miracle-Gro Organic, and I don't use Miracle-Gro, period. Don't have good experiences with it, and I just don't support that company. So I got Jungle Growth, which, hell, for all I know, Jungle Growth is owned by them too, and I have no idea. This is what I use the most for anything that I might eat. So this has been planted in Jungle Growth, plus I have cranberry hibiscus and a few other plants that are in this, and they've done very well. So that's why I bought this brand new just for this. Now, thing weighs like 1,000 pounds. Since I got a 5-gallon bucket, you need to prepare it. And how do you do that? Drill some holes in the bottom. As you can see, I've already done that. I didn't want to waste time on camera doing that. But all it took was one handy dandy power drill with a 1/2 inch bit in it, although I would have preferred 1 inch. I don't have one of those right now, so that's why I didn't use it. And I just taped in these orange screens. It's just a piece of plastic, reusable plastic. It's pretty thick. It's about 3 mils thick, but I use these in a lot of the bottom of my pots that have holes that are too large because I don't want any of the dirt to fall out, and I don't always have rocks to stick in those holes. So I use these to cover them up and stop things from falling out. Sometimes, just depending on what a pot is, I might just grab a rock like this and block the hole too. So now all we need to do is mix everything up, and that's what all this is for. I have my own tug here that I'm going to fill up. This is a 5-gallon bucket, so that means I need 5 gallons or so. Then I'll start amending everything as I need. Oh, this stuff stinks. Now while I'm doing this, after I get everything done to my tug, before I put anything else in there, I will go through, thoroughly hand mix this and break everything up, because there's a lot of chunks in here. And I need to make sure I know what I'm doing. There's a lot of chunks. I should be getting close to about 5 gallons. The easiest way to really do that is just put the soil in there and then do this first, but I didn't. That's not 5 gallons by any means. Oh, this stuff is hot. It's been sitting outside all day. It's hot, moist. It smells terrible. All right. That should be closer to 5 gallons than before. All right. Now, like I said, I'll just go through this real quick and try and break up any big clumps that I see. Because if we don't break those clumps up now, they're going to sit inside the soil and never break down, and they're always going to be there. The roots might break them up over time, but considering a pineapple only takes 2 years to grow, you don't have a lot of time for it to break through. So I like to do all that myself. This soil is very rich, dirty, so thick. All right, that feels good. Now I'm gonna use this. It's organic, so I don't even really need to measure. It's compost. There's nothing I can do with this. It's gonna screw anything up. I've never used a product like this before, so this will be interesting to see what it does. It smells like soil. It doesn't smell like mushroom compost at all. It's 2 handfuls. And since this is just compost and I'm mixing it in, it doesn't really matter how much I put in there. 3 1/2. All I'm gonna do, and then I just gotta mix all of that in. Continue to break up anything that might have gotten introduced as far as lumps and such go from adding the compost. I honestly can't tell the difference between the compost and this dirt at this point. They looked almost identical, but it should help it grow more vigorously. As we can see, the one over my shoulder is about, I don't know, 8 months old, and I think it's been in the dirt since October. So it's been in there for 5 months now, and it's doing pretty well. I only have to water it once a week. Even when it's hot, I really don't have to water it once a week, because pineapples are technically in the succulent family, or they're technically succulents because they're bromeliad. Ugh. All right, got all that mixed in. Now this is a pretty thick soil. It's potting soil, so it has no real aeration in here. And that's a problem, because if there's no aeration and there's nothing to help cause aeration channels within the dirt itself, this is going to do nothing but clump up. Once it gets wet, it's just going to kind of clump up like that, and it's going to hold water. You don't want to do that. So grab my scoop. It's just a really cheap scoop I bought from the dollar store. It's 2 cups. Whenever you're measuring stuff like this, you want to make sure that you use the exact same amount every time, and the best way to do that is use one standard measuring unit. It does not matter what that unit is, half cup, cup, whatever, as long as it's standardized between everything you add. So I'm gonna add 2 cups of red lava rock that I bought. There's no reason that red lava rock is not anything special. It's just red lava rock. Add 2 cups of white pumice. As you can see, it's still really dusty. Then take it, add in 2 cups of my coarse black pumice. Now, you might be wondering why I use all 3. There's no real reason. I like them. They don't provide any benefits over each other. All these rocks technically are the same thing. Now, I don't wash any of these. A lot of places will wash their rocks before they give them to you. But I don't do that because all of this dust, all that dust, all that dust, and all the dust from this black stuff holds trace minerals as well. And those are going to be very important over the life cycle of the plant itself. Now, why do I use pumice over something like vermiculite or perlite? Because I can get this really easily and get really good quality rock at really good prices, and that's why I do it. I'm not a fan of perlite because it's very light. So whenever you start watering over a long period of time, all it does is it floats to the top of your pot. So if this was a pot, and I planted to about that far down, so about 1 inch. Over time, with the soil the way it is, all of the perlite would rise to the top, even from way down here. Now, I forgot what I was saying because my camera just turned off because it overheated. So let me get back to where I was. Rocks, why I use these. Perlite just rises to the top of your pot, and eventually it doesn't provide any aeration for you, so it serves no purpose because it's so lightweight. It's actually typically lighter than the dirt you're putting it into. And it's made out of puffed obsidian, which is a really, really beautiful and finite stone. So it's not really good to use because we can't get any more of it. But pumice is also a volcanic stone. All these are volcanic stones. They come from when volcanoes erupt, so we can wait for more volcanoes to erupt and just harvest more of this. It's effectively infinitely renewable. Is there a difference between the white ones, the black ones, and the red ones? No, it's aesthetics. Personally, it's just aesthetics, and even then I won't even be seeing these. So let's get these mixed in. I can already tell that this dense of soil, we need to double the amount of rocks I just put in here. This is not nearly enough. I already know that. It's really, really heavy, dense soil. I probably got more than 5 gallons in there. I probably got about 7. Just got to get this mixed in. That's not a lot. Now, I like to mix in a lot more aeration for everything because I live in Florida. It rains a lot, which means if I don't do that, I'm going to run the risk of getting root rot in all of my plants really, really fast. So I always provide ample aeration methods in my soil. Now, it's hard to see and it's hard to visualize without having the stones in your hand. But if you get some stones and we can look at them, see all that, I don't know how well it's going to focus, but these all are porous, which means not only does water and air pass through it, water gets absorbed into it and can be held and retained for a little bit before it actually releases out of the stone. And in doing that, it also releases some of the trace minerals that are still in here. But in doing that, it'll move around in the soil like it's moving around in my hands, and eventually creates tiny little pockets for all the air and water to go through, microbes to start growing, and that's how you create living soil that lasts for a long time, feeds your plants a lot more than you're feeding them. This is getting pretty good. Aeration. Oh yeah, this is getting pretty well mixed. Now I normally do mix my soil in this, but the soil I use is never ever this dense and wet. I usually have stuff that I've let sit out for a couple days and dry. But potting soil always retains a lot more moisture than the coir stuff that I normally use. Now that this is adequately mixed. I think I have enough aeration material in there. It's time for the next step, which is I'm actually going to put a small, maybe about 1.5 inches amount of rocks down in the bottom of this, so that when I actually end up watering it, the water doesn't sit in here for longer than it needs to. It'll drain right out through that rock layer. Now I don't have to do this since there are holes already drilled into the bottom of this for drainage. I do this for a little extra security, because like I said, in Florida it rains an awful lot. When it rains, it rains. Now some people say you shouldn't add rocks, some people say you should, because it can change the, I believe it's called the potential water table. I don't always remember what the P stands for, but the PWT effectively means the amount of water that the soil has access to itself. So when the soil is like this, you have 100% from here to here of soil, you have 100% PWT. So potential water table is you can have water from here to here. But now, what do you know, just as I'm talking about it raining all the time, it's also super sunny in Florida. My camera just overheated for the second time. So what I was saying is, now that I've added this rock layer, this reduces the PWT from here and here to here and here. Overall for this, it's not a big deal, but if you're doing other plants, it could be, especially if you're using a smaller container. But with something that's got 5 gallons of coverage, it's not going to matter one bit it's about that, because I didn't put very much in. So now all we got to do is fill this bad boy up, and that's literally just taking this, putting in here, nothing special to it. So let's go ahead, get that, God, stuff is wet. This is going to be very heavy, but the good thing is about this soil already being this wet, I don't have to water it for at least a day or two, depending on how hot it gets. If it gets closer to 80 or 90 degrees this week, I'll definitely have to water it more often, but right now don't have to worry about it. So all I'm doing is putting all this soil down in here. I'm not doing anything special, just throwing it in. Here in a second, I'll move this. Now I'll usually do this with my bigger plants. Before I put the plant in there itself, the bigger pots. I shake everything, get it moving around a couple times to get everything kind of settled in, because once you water, all of that compaction that ice did is going to happen naturally with the weight of the water itself. So what I'm doing is I'm going ahead and compacting that a little bit to help the water drain more quickly once I actually start watering it. Now I'm almost done. Dang, I'll have almost enough soil. Actually, I'm going to run out. If I keep compacting, and I'm going to run out, and I won't have enough. That's fine. That's all my soil that I mixed up. I thought I mixed up 7, but I got just under 5 mixed up, which doesn't really matter. I will add a little bit more soil to the top of this. About to flip over an entire bag of compost, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to clean that up. I'm not going to amend this with rocks since I'm not putting much in. It's not going to make much difference overall. Now see, like I said, this has forest floor stuff in it, so that typically means is, if I can find another one really easily. Nope. See, they grind up sticks and stuff to put in here, and they don't have as fine a mulch as I do in my yard, and that qualifies as forest products. Okay, so this is planted to about right here, as you can see. Get that dirt out of here. Now, what I have to do is find a spot to put the pineapple, preferably in the middle. And let's see. Let's aim the camera down so you guys can see this better. At least I hope you can, because I can't see the camera. All I'm gonna do, let's see, this isn't very large, as you can see, so I'm gonna just dig a small hole. Now you're noticing I'm not putting any rooting hormone or any fertilizers down in the hole that I've just made, because I don't need them. That's what the soil's for. That's why I bought this soil specifically. It has natural fertilizers in it. Now, in a month or so, I'll probably come through, hit it with some fertilizer. Maybe in a couple weeks, depends on how well I see it growing. That's it. That's all it takes to plant a pineapple and start growing one. Now, we're going to finish up by adding. So now that we're done with that, I'm just gonna pull this up a little bit, pull back, because I'm gonna be picking up all these rocks everywhere. I'm just gonna put the rocks right on top, and that's it. And then we're done. That's all there is to it. I guess you probably thought it was gonna be a lot harder to plant a pineapple and then grow one than it actually is. The hardest part is having to wait 2 years before you can harvest one. Now, there's some information that I came across about 2 weeks ago to induce. Now, as we can see, got all the rocks finally put in there. Camera shut off again, so I just went ahead and did this real quick. But here we are. That's it. We've got a pineapple ready. All I have to do is water this in a couple days, and we're going to be ready to wait 2 years to get us a beautiful, beautiful fruit. Just like this one. I didn't have this planned, so I just went and grabbed it. But 2 years, I'll have one of these beautiful bad boys. Not this big. Come right out of this thing and be about that big, maybe a little bit bigger. And I'm going to leave it on there a little bit longer so it'll get nice and golden brown. You kind of see the color it's going to be. It's that color, but all the way around. That's when you know it's perfect and it's right to eat. But that's it for today's video. Now let's get out and get busy.